Good morning.
It's on.
Okay.
Welcome.
I'm really short. Thank you for having me. My name is Michele Gehr, and I am the Executive Director of the Eddy House, which is our homeless youth drop-in center on 6th Street. Oh, which way am I doing here? Okay, there we go. As I mentioned, we are located at 423 East 6th Street between Record and Valley. We serve primarily non-system youth, so these are kids that are not affiliated with any other programs or facilities here in town. These are kids living on the street. Last year we saw 504 individuals, but this year our numbers have gone through the roof. So from January until August 2017, Eddy House has served 625 homeless youth and had over 6,000 interactions. We anticipate by end of year we will see over 700 individual kids and have close to 8,000 or 9,000 interactions. It's getting worse. So we are the central intake and assessment facility for all homeless youth in Northern Nevada ages 12 to 24. We focus our programming on the 18 to 24. Less than 13% of our visitors are under the age of 18, and they are referred to Washoe County Social Services or Reno Police Department. This is a Nevada problem, especially a Northern Nevada problem. 76% of our kids are from Washoe County, 6% are from rural Nevada. We focus initially on basic needs: showers, clothing, food, and a safe space for these kids to be off the streets. As they come to Eddy House and they form relationships with staff and each other, we then move into medical, dental, and education services, as well as psychosocial education. So really focusing on those social and emotional skills that you need to become productive members of our community. We have life skills and goal setting. We really focus on job skills. I can tell you that in the past year, 120 of our young people have managed to secure employment as a result of being involved in our programming. We also provide mental health, addiction counseling, healthy relationships. Many of our kids come from domestic violence situations or violence in the home. The top 3 reasons for Eddy House youth to become homeless is violence in the home, child abuse, and drug and alcohol abuse in the home. We also focus on music therapy, grief and loss therapy, and art therapy. 93% of our kids have experienced a serious or significant loss of a parent or primary caregiver. We are 100% trauma affected. 59% of our kids have received treatment for mental health. 60% have no education. They have not finished their high school diploma or GED. And 70% of those kids had an IEP or 504 plan while they were in schools. As almost 70% of our kids are from Washoe County, this is very significant. 89% of our kids have been arrested at least once. 92% live actually on the streets, in the motels, or they couch surf. Many of our kids are sleeping in trees in downtown Reno. And we recently lost a young man, a favorite of staff, who died from a bacterial infection from sleeping in the weekly motels. It attacked his heart, and he did pass away at St. Mary's. 58% of our homeless youth, if you think about our numbers, 625, 58% of those kids have exchanged sex or labor for food or shelter. Overall, Nevada ranks 5th in the nation for homeless persons who are unsheltered. I will tell you that I heard from the city of Reno that Nevada now has the fastest growing homeless youth population in the country. Our median rent is $875 and continues to go up. Many of our kids are unemployed or underemployed and cannot afford median rent. So we really need to focus on that education piece and keeping them stable at night. The U.S. Interagency Council on Homelessness estimates that the average cost to a city for a single homeless person to be between $30,000 and $50,000 a year. We estimate that Reno or Washoe County spends about $40,000 per individual. This means that if half of Eddy House youth are arrested, use the shelter or the ER, it's going to cost taxpayers over $10 million a year. It also brings blight and crime downtown. I know that this has been an issue for the county as well as the city, and a higher rate of human trafficking, which is something that we are dealing with on a daily basis. Homeless youth are very different than adults. They do not identify as homeless, so even when they come into Eddy House, we do track all data. We are a data-driven agency. We ask them where they slept the night before, and oftentimes they will say, "my home." We know that they live in an alley or in a tree. So we do understand that that is not accurate, and you have to drill down a little bit. So they also view this as a bump in the road. 75% of homeless youth will realize mental illness before the age of 25, and we do understand that the data shows that if you can intervene before the age of 25, they don't become homeless again. Less than 8% of our homeless youth use the shelter, citing safety concerns. The point-in-time count for 2017 shows similar data. So only 17% of those kids access the adult shelter. 51% of those surveyed lost their housing over sexuality or gender identity. They have ongoing issues with courts and health. These are some reasons why homeless youth don't use the adult shelters, and really it's definitely safety, for sure, and that's what our kids report to us. The Eddy House today is a little bit different. We're very unique in that we provide relationship-based programming. Everything is about that human connection and the social and emotional skills. We really focus on those soft skills, eye contact, handshaking, and making those genuine connections. Oftentimes our kids have never had that, and they've never had an adult they can trust. All of our resources are at a single location. Eddy House partners with over 25 agencies in this community, and we're always looking for new partners. It's really about the kids and meeting them where they're at. We provide a physically and psychologically safe space. We have 50 kids a day that we see. Our largest day was 74 youth, and I can tell you that we had 74 youth in a space of less than 1,000 square feet with no conflict, and that is because we really focus on those social and emotional skills. We have behavior contracts. They are enforced. We do plan for a 24-hour center. That's upcoming. Hopefully in the next 4 to 6 months, Eddy House will expand to be a 24-hour center. We're looking for 50 beds, a commercial kitchen, therapy and classroom space so that we can continue to provide those resources overnight. We will continue to partner with agencies and really be the first stop in a continuum of care that will end youth homelessness and has the potential to end homelessness in Washoe County and in downtown Reno. If you have any questions or you would like a tour, I invite each and every one of you to come by Eddy House. My email is there along with my phone number. I do tours all the time. Come in and see. Meet our kids and take a look at what we're doing, look at our data. We do have that available for anyone who is interested. And thank you so much. Do you have any questions for me?
Thank you, Ms. Gehr. We really appreciate you coming, and the statistics are frightening.
Yes.
That we have so many children who are in need of help here in Washoe County. Commissioner Jung?
Well, I just want to thank you, Ms. Gehr, for your passion and commitment, but most importantly, I want you to talk about what you did in the Bronx and what your educational background is and how it's so unusual, your master's degree.
Sure. I actually graduated with my undergrad from UNR in psychology and genocide, Holocaust, and peace studies, and decided to go get a master's degree. I went to Columbia University in New York City. I was chosen as one of 27 management fellows, so I studied clinical social work, but additionally, I was one of 27 individuals that were lucky enough to study nonprofit and public management along with my social work degree, how to run a nonprofit or public agency effectively, efficiently, and be the most impactful. We were trained that a nonprofit should exist to solve a social problem. And so I did my practicums and worked in the South Bronx at one of the toughest high schools in the United States, teaching social and emotional skills to overage, undercredited middle school students and then high school students. The task was to get the kids to sign off and drop out. I feel like there's no such thing as a throwaway population. So I asked the question, why are you not in school? And I found that 1/3 of my caseload in the South Bronx had experienced the loss of a parent or primary caregiver. So connecting with them and having a grief and loss group actually increased attendance by 85% there. I knew that when I came to Reno, actually for vacation, and saw the Eddy House, I had a vision for a national model. I knew that we could get these kids to be productive members of our community if we invest a little bit of time and a little bit of connection. And that has worked so far. When I came to Eddy House, we saw maybe 5 or 10 kids a day, and then it's all word of mouth. They come in now. We are seeing with the housing shortage an increase in the population. So we just need to really get them where they're at and teach them the skills that they'll need to be productive.
And I really do urge you to go do the tour. It's a fascinating program. And Ms. Gehr will go, you know, she can talk for days about the data and the young people that are there. And, you know, I think this points to something, and I'm glad that the councilman's here as well, is that we have a huge problem in this community with homelessness, not just homeless youth, but homeless adults. And we have the money to house them. We have no land. So this is a siren, really, at this point, that we need to find land, either the city's surplus land, county surplus land, or a philanthropist who will donate us land, preferably, you know, near a bus line, et cetera. But we're in a land crisis, not even really a money crisis. The Reno Housing Authority just bought 36 units from the Winnemucca man camp that didn't go through for the mining, and we have no place to put them. And so I think we need to get serious as a community of starting to find this land and building homes. People should not be sleeping in trees, in bushes, down at the river. It's a social crisis, and it's a moral crisis as far as I'm concerned. So I appreciate all that you do. I'm glad you came back home for a vacation and stayed. And Ms. Tanser, thank you as well for being here. And anything we can do to help, you know I'm there. And did you get the Planned Parenthood sex training?
I did. Yes.
Okay, good.
Yes, we're good.
That's
Thank
the
you
number
for
one
that.
thing the kids ask for: job training and sexual health. That's not what adults ask for.
Absolutely.
So
Yes. Thank you very
I
much.
appreciate you.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Jung. Commissioner Hartung.
You had more questions? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I just had a fast question, Ms. Gehr.
Sure.
How are you funded? Who's funding you?
I
I know that's a difficult question, and I know it can be from a myriad of sources, but, you know, if you sort of narrow it down, how are you funded?
Initially, when I first came in, we didn't have outcomes, we didn't have outputs, so I had to develop the programming, and it was a lot of begging, honestly, from the community. That's how we've been able to sustain. With all of the data, Eddy House has an 11-page intake that all of the kids do. We recently heard from HUD that we have the best intake they've ever seen. It collects everything. So with that data collection, it tells a story, and we have started to apply to private foundations as well as individuals in our community, as well as bringing in federal, state, and local money to really serve this population.
Okay.
That's,
Thank you.
yeah,
Thank you
you're
so
welcome.
much.
Thank you, Commissioner Hartung.
And Commissioner Jung won't mention it right now, but I'll mention it. We're trying to solve your land issue with some land that the Flood Management Authority owns. And so we are, and it's actually a prime location for this type of a project, and it's where the old XL building is. There are some hurdles. We don't believe at this point that there is anything that we can't overcome, so we're looking forward to trying to solve that problem, and hopefully we can, you know, work on some of these issues also.
That's fantastic. If we can have 120 kids just coming to a day program that get employed, if we had an overnight facility, they would all be employed and in school.
Yeah, understood. Yeah, that's, I understand completely.
Thank you
so
very much.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Hartung. Thank you, Ms. Gehr. Appreciate you coming, and the information is just phenomenal, and I'm glad you guys are doing such a good job, and you have a real advocate on your side over here with our wonderful Commissioner Jung, who works on these projects.
I agree.
Thank you.
Thank you.